Welcome to the Bulletproof Veteran Podcast. Thank you for your service.
Welcome back, everybody, for the long-awaited return of Bulletproof Veteran Podcast. First of all, I have to apologize for my extended absence from the airwaves. Trust me, I've missed it. But life is life. It happens. I have a 7-year-old daughter in sports. I have a house. I have the property upstate that we're trying to get ready to do a bunch of fun things for veterans up. And it's taken a lot of my time. And I had a change in my 9-to-5 job where I used to be able to record sometimes during the day because I was working a night shift or something like that. I'm on straight days. Makes it a little bit harder to get the recording time because when I'm home at night, I want to spend time with my daughter, with my wife, and do family things. So we're trying to work the schedule out a little bit better to free me up to get on at least once a week and get an episode out. So like I said, I do apologize. I have missed it. I have missed all of you. I've missed my interviews and all of that. So getting back into the swing of it just kind of lightens me back up, kind of lights a fire in me. And I owe it really all to you guys because it's since the last episode, the amount of people that have come up to me and asked, hey, when's the next one coming out? Where have you been? It means the world to me. I want to just say that out loud to anybody out there that might have done that. Thank you, because at least it lets me know that you're out there listening and that I was doing some good at the time, and it makes me want to get back into it. It makes me want to do more. That's what this whole episode is really going to be about when we start to get into the nuts and bolts of it. It's not going to be a long episode, but I wanted to lay some things out for you guys so you know what we're working on. Because even though I haven't been recording, we've been doing a lot in the background. A lot of ideas, a lot of building blocks. We're taking Bulletproof Veteran Podcast and turning it into Bulletproof Veteran Media. So we're going to be doing a lot more with different shows. We're going to get into some book stuff. We're going to get into events and get-togethers and things like that. So we're looking at the LLC background and trying to see if that's the best route for us, which we believe it is. And we're working on that. And again, like I said, the property in upstate New York, right now it's just 28 acres of a hayfield, but next week I got electric going in, I got the well drilled, I got the septic put in, the pond is already ready to go. We got a boat up there for the pond. We're going to stock it with some fish next year. All of these things have been going on in the background, even though I haven't been recording. And some of it I talked about in the last episode and let you guys know that we were kind of doing some of this. But for anybody who's new or didn't remember, that's what we've kind of been focused on. Never a dull moment. Listen, even when you don't hear my voice, there's still stuff going on in the background that kind of makes all this work. Going to events, reaching out to veterans, helping people just in the community, all of these different things. All right. And that's what this show is going to be about. Before we jump into that topic, I'm just going to take a little pause, back up. I have spoken on this show before multiple times about my beliefs on how we enact change in our worlds. We've had countless guests on that talk about it. Taking control of your own destiny, making changes at the local level, starting in the home, in the community, that allow us to enjoy the freedoms that most of us fought for. If you're a veteran out there, you fought for all those freedoms that we can enjoy. But they come at a price, and they come with responsibility as a citizen to make sure that we're not allowing them to escape us or go unused, because a inherent right unused is easy to take away, because powers that be can say, well, you never did that anyway. Now it's gone. What are you worried about? You didn't need that. And it's not always about need. It's not always about if you use a right. The right should be available because these are human rights. These are the basis of our country and what it was founded on. And again, what most of us, the veteran community, we're so tied to it because we fought for it. And now whether you joined to fight for your country or you joined so that you could get the GI Bill or you joined because you were in trouble at home and had to get the hell out of there, guilty as charged, you still fought for it. And most of us at some point during our service came to that conclusion. There are the occasional people that didn't get that out of it. They usually left disgruntled. And maybe they came to that conclusion afterwards as a veteran when they got into the veteran community and heard people talking and they were like, oh, you know what? I really did do that. But, at the time I didn't feel like I was doing that. But I think for most of us, we realize that we are the people that make it so the broader community of citizens can have those rights. And that doesn't end, by the way. That idea of service doesn't end. We talk about it time and time again on this show. The biggest problem that I see in the veteran community, especially mental health-wise and things like that, is that lack of service when we get out, that lack of purpose, that lack of mission, right? Again, we've discussed it many times. Go back, look at some of the older episodes. Look at some of the people that we've had come on and talk about it. The Rudy Reyes's, the Nick Palmishanos. They all talked about how that impacted them. How there was that gap in time after their service that they had to figure out, okay, now what do I do? Now what is going to be my new mission? I had that, okay? I had people telling me, hey, you're going to go and do this. You're part of something bigger. You're a cog in a machine, or however you want to describe it. It doesn't really make a difference. Then you get out and you don't really have that right away. Maybe you do in your job, depending. Like, listen, if you get into law enforcement, if you're a first responder, fire department, if you work in a hospital, if you work in some type of an operational environment, maybe you do have that. But for a lot of people, they get out, they just get a normal job. They meld into their community, and for some, it can be a tripping point, and they can go down a dark path. So one of the things that we promote on this show is finding that next mission, whether it's through a business, whether it's through a nonprofit, whether it's volunteering, your time, whether it's mentoring, coaching, any of those things that give you purpose day in and day out, even if it's just, hey, I'm going to be the best dad I can be. I'm going to be the best husband that I can be. That can be your mission. There's nothing wrong with that. It's very admirable. Amazing, actually. If you can be the best at that and that alone, you're already making the world a better place. So hold your head high if that is your goal. Or you could want more, and there's nothing wrong with that. Always balance. Find your balance, okay? And I'm saying all of this because current events have shown us that life is very precious. Current events have shown us that our freedoms are not guaranteed. And there are a lot of people in this world that want to divide us. You hear that word divisive all the time, right? This person's divisive. That person's divisive. What does that really mean? And I go back to, and this is the title of this episode and the reason that I wanted to record this. What happens there? What happens when we have that divisiveness? What are we lacking? Why is it a bad thing, right? And I go back to something that I've discussed previously. A couple years ago, I think I brought this up. I might have even brought it up last year. About the idea of the day after 9/11, 9/12. For those of you that were serving at the time or that joined right after 9/11, 9/12 was a day that you probably remember. As much as 9/11. Because for some of you, it was the day that you decided, I'm going to do something. I'm going to join the military. Or I'm going to go help out somewhere. New York is a prime example of that. The amount of people that volunteered to help at Ground Zero on 9/12 is amazing. Look it up. Just look it up. Google it. I don't even want to give you statistics, okay? Because that's not what this is all about. It's not about numbers and facts and all of that. Facts are important, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. The feeling that we had on 9/12, the unity, we put aside petty differences. We put aside political differences, which aren't petty, by the way. Political differences can be very, very dangerous. They drive wedges between people. When you hold an ideal higher than anything else in your life, and so then somebody challenges that or threatens it, you instantly want to fight back, right? So when we're fighting amongst ourselves as Americans politically, you've seen it. You saw it during COVID. You saw it in the last couple of elections. Families don't even talk to each other anymore because of that divisiveness. And again, I'm not taking sides. I'm really not on this. That's one of my main points is about, it's not about one side or another. We are all Americans, all right? And the rights and the freedoms that we enjoy are the pinnacle of society. They are the envy of the world. For anybody who has traveled, for anybody who has been outside of this country, even with all the shit talking that might go on about America and blah, 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 big bad, whatever, they would all give it up to be here. It's why we have an immigration problem, because you come to this country, okay? People aren't leaving America and going to Mexico. It's the other way around because people want to come here. And even the small groups of people, the rich people that get butthurt over an election and, now I'm taking my ball and I'm going home, that's a minute number. People don't leave America, generally speaking. And there's a reason for that, because we do live in the greatest country in the world. And for anybody that has served it in any way knows that and holds it dear. And I think that was 9/12. It can be summed up in that 9/12 for our generation. Maybe it was the day after Pearl Harbor for the greatest generation. Maybe it was the day after Kennedy was shot, for the boomers. But for our generation, Gen X and, millennials, it was the day after 9/11. It was 9/12, where you weren't arguing over what political party you were a part of. We weren't arguing over ballot measures. We weren't arguing just so that we were the loudest voice in the room. We put that stuff aside, even if just for that day, and came together and said that our ideals, the basis of this country, was attacked, and we need to defend it. And we need to defend it in two ways. We needed to obviously find out who did it and, go after them. Okay, fine. Military does that, takes care of it. But we also defended it by showing resolve, pushing through, and acting like a community. That kind of spits in the face of anybody that wants to take away what the country is about, right? When you say, oh, look, you thought you could do this and kind of break us down. A shot at the Pentagon is a shot against the government. A plane going into the Twin Towers, the biggest city in the world, blah, blah, blah. That's going to break them. It's going to break their back. But what we did was the exact opposite. You woke us up and brought us together on that day. That's where I got the idea for Operation 9/12. Because I think we're at that turning point again. We're at that stage with recent events. And I'm not even just talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination. I'm not talking about the Ukrainian woman that was just murdered on the train that a lot of people are talking about. I'm not talking about Trump or any of our other elected officials. Because to be honest with you, if you're waiting for elected officials to fix these problems, we've already lost. We've already lost. Because this country has never been about that. This country has never been about waiting for some elected official to fix a problem for us. We've always handled it ourselves, the communities, most of the time at the most local level possible, and then it grows. We saw it in the 60s. It started with these little pockets, and then it grew into national movements. Okay? In the 80s, we saw it. We've seen it in the 90s. And then we saw it after 9/11, national. But it started small, right? So Operation 9/12 is going to be our way of trying to bring things back to a local level and bring people back together where you can have differences. You can think your way, but respect that somebody else is going to think differently than you and have an honest conversation about it and be okay with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fun, actually. I love debating. It's one of my favorite things to do. Me and my father get together and debate all the time. We don't agree. Love the man to death. I'd go let a car run over me tomorrow for him. But you shouldn't have a political discussion and then never talk again. And we've seen too much of that over the past few years. And I feel like with what happened with Charlie Kirk this week and the rhetoric that we're seeing from both sides, the revenge side and the, well, we didn't like what he was saying, so he deserved it side, they're both wrong, in my opinion. And again, this is all my opinion. Please, you're allowed to have your opinion. That's the greatest part about all of this. And really, that's what Operation 9/12 is about. It's about getting back to it. You're allowed to have that idea. But we're going to do the best for our community and do the best for our country, do the best for our families, and make sure that everything that we hold dear is here for our kids. Because if we keep going down this road, if things like this keep happening, our days are numbered. Go out and read the rise and fall of the Roman Empire. All right, history repeats itself, folks. It always does. Always does. You see it time and time again. All right? You see it with military operations, right? If you're a military guy, if you like military history, you can see parallels and things that we've done over the years with intervention and how it failed. CIA operations that have failed, that only caused more problems. And then we did it again, and the same thing happened. Why? Because history repeats itself. Because people, as unique as we are as individuals and as unique as we are as groups, kind of fall into the same patterns, right? And I don't want to say we can guess exactly what everybody's going to do, but as a whole, you can kind of see trends on where things are going and then kind of predict, okay, yeah, look, man, we're doing it again. We're going down that road again. And this one, if we don't turn it, I have a big fear that we're going in a direction that we're not going to be able to turn around from. And that the people that want us divided are finally going to win. The people that want you to always be looking at this thing over here, but don't pay attention to what I'm doing, right? Be mad about, this or that, this hot button issue or that hot button issue. You see it in the media all the time. They'll zero in and needle on something for weeks on end. Then just move on to the next thing like the other thing never happened. They do it for a reason. It's please pay attention to this and don't pay attention to anything that's going on over here that actually matters, right? So what does that all mean? All right, that was a very long-winded intro to what I'm trying to talk about, but what does it actually mean? Where does the rubber meet the road? What's the action item? Because I think that's the biggest thing that we need to really get going here to reverse this is an action item. I hate to use the terminology. You probably heard it in the military if you work for the government. If you work for big businesses, you hear things like action item all the time, and you basically want to take your head and like slam it in a car door. I'm with you, but it's what describes it, so I'm going to use it. And unfortunately, I've just heard it so many times, it kind of rattles around in my brain. So what's that item? What's that thing that we can actually do? Well, it starts in the community. And what we're going to try to do with Operation 912 is set up resources for people to start bringing their communities together, okay? We're going to set up the website to have a tab that is just Operation 912. It's going to have resources and tools for you to take action in your community, things that you can do to bring people together. Bring different ideas together. Bring different ideas to the table. Talk about them in a real way that doesn't blow up into screaming matches. You see these board meetings where everybody's yelling at each other. Do you think when everybody's yelling at each other in these board meetings, when everybody leaves, is anything different? Did you change anything? No, usually not. Maybe once in a while. But usually, everybody just goes home pissed off and somebody gets arrested. Great. What did we do? We didn't do anything, right? You might feel better that you screamed and yelled because, let's be honest, sometimes we just want somebody to listen to us. But you're going to be back there in 6 months screaming and yelling about the same thing because nothing changes. So we're going to set up resources for people that want to make real changes in their community. What are tools that we can use? What are events that we can do? How can we volunteer? How can we help people? Okay? What are some things that we can do on a weekly basis? What are 3 things that each person can do? And if I can do those 3 things and I get 3 more people and they do 3 things and they get 3 people, and they do, you see how this spreads, right? So we want to set that up. We want to have a database of information that you can use because every community is a little different and each person might have something different that they want to do. What I want to do in my community isn't going to be the same as somebody in Albuquerque. So we want to make it pretty diverse and give you plenty of options to start. The second thing that we really want to do with Operation 912 is partner with other veteran organizations because, hear me out, I believe, this is my personal belief, that veterans are the ones that need to lead this charge, just like on 912. Okay, the military members that took up the mantle to fight for this country on 912 are the ones now that can take up the mantle to fight for our freedoms, fight for our communities, fight for our kids. And I use that term fight because it is a fight, not maybe a physical fight. Maybe it doesn't have to be that. I'm not talking about people talking about civil war. What are we doing? Let's stop it. All right? Let's fix these problems. But you got to do it at the local level. You got to do it in your home, right? You got to do it with your neighbor, at your school, all right? Maybe you go to a board meeting, all right? But don't get thrown out. Don't get arrested at the board meeting. Let's give you some tools so that you can go in there, get your point across, help you out with that. Okay, if there's an actual problem, let's fix the problem, all right? Let's figure out how to do that. Let's set up a process, all right? So that's going to be there. But the veterans, we know how to handle this. And we know how to work through logistical issues, systemic issues, and all the things that can go wrong in any real operation, contingencies, all of that. We're pros at it, right? So we take those skills that we learned. We take those abilities, that leadership, okay, that commitment to service, that commitment to these freedoms that we're talking about, to these liberties that we talk about, to these inalienable rights that we talk about, to this country. Above all other things, when you swore your oath, it was never to a politician. It wasn't to the president. It wasn't to a senator. It wasn't to your governor, mayor, nothing. It was to the Constitution. It was to the people. That's what it was for. And it was meant to be that way, okay? Above all else. This way, no one person could break it all down from any side. Veterans understand it better than anybody, okay? So we want to partner with other veteran organizations and get them in the places that will help the most people, all right? And if they need help, we want to help them, right? Third, we want to start setting up more and more events where we can bring people together to talk, okay? It doesn't always have to be like-minded. It could be opposing views. Like-minded's fun. Do some like-minded events. Do some opposing views events. Might just be, hey, we're going to go clean up the park. Or we're going to go for a bike ride. Or, like I said, with what I'm trying to do with the property, we're going to get a bunch of people and we're going to go hunting together. And at night, we're going to sit around a campfire and we're going to talk a little bit. And maybe we hash out a couple things. All right? Maybe we come up with some ideas that we could bring back with us. That's where I'm starting with this. Now, I'm hoping it expands into more, and I'm hoping as more people help out and get involved, they bring their own ideas in and we can do more. Again, the goal is to unite the community, reunite the country, because right now we're not. We call ourselves the United States of America. We're not united right now. I don't feel that way. I feel like we're very disjointed, very divided. It's a function of the times. It happens. Listen, it's happened before. Again, history repeats itself. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You got a lot of people, and let's get 300 million people. More, actually. It's hard to get 300 million people to agree on anything. That's why we have a federalist system, because we knew, the founding fathers knew, there was no way that you're just going to get everybody to agree. You have to have a way that there can be some kind of local agreement, and then that funnels up to a federal agreement, to Washington, D.C., not the other way around. So that's what we're going to try to work through. That's what we're going to try to put up there. Again, I'm going to get the website set up. I'm working on that now. It'll be published soon. I just wanted to get it because it was 9/12. I said, perfect. Let me get this out there. Let me get this info out to everybody. All right? Let you know that we're going to be doing this. It's part of Bulletproof Veteran. It's not its own thing. It's not going to have its own website. It's going to be on the Bulletproof Veteran website, bulletproofveteran.com. It'll just be a tab. You don't have to learn anything new. Again, we'll have resources there. We'll have ways for you to get in touch with us if you want to be a community leader, if you want to start up an event, or if you just have a specific thing that you want to funnel to the cause. All right? And again, we're looking for veterans to step up and be the leaders of this, the leaders in saving this country again. Because I just said it before, and I'm going to say it a couple times, and I'm going to say it in the future. We have to reverse course. We have to get out of doing the same thing. What is the old adage? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. We're doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? And we all know where it goes. It goes with neighbors not talking to each other. It goes to people getting in fist fights at school board meetings or community meetings or parks. Like, this is crazy. It goes to people getting shot on universities, kids getting shot in schools. Violence. That's where it leads. It leads to violence. And we got there. We've been there for some time. It's not where we should be, and we got to get out of it for our kids' sake, our grandkids' sake. I look at my daughter, I see the innocence in her, and I see her processing information, and I want the best for her. I want her to struggle because there's an importance in struggling, but I want her to know that there's good that can come out of struggle. Right? I don't want it all handed to her. I'm not asking for that. I'm not trying to pave the road for her. Again, another cliche is don't prepare the road for your child. Prepare your child for the road. The problem is right now we're jackhammering the road. we're ripping the road up. Let's get back. Let's get back to preparing our kids for the future and make sure that they have that future with those rights that we talk about all the time. Take some time. Read the Constitution. Read the Bill of Rights. Know your amendments, right? Know your rights. That's where it really can start. Actually, just thinking of it now, that's probably the first thing that's going to go up on the website are those rights. Because maybe you don't know. I mean, it's possible. Not everybody does. You don't remember civics. They barely teach it anymore. I do my homework with my daughter. Half the time, I don't even know what I'm doing. I had to watch a YouTube video for her English homework the other day. And she's 7. I have a master's degree. All right, I had to watch a YouTube video to understand how to help her. But maybe that's something you want to address in your community. Might be something I do here, because my God. But these are all things, right? So you can see that this is going to evolve. But it starts now. Starts on 9/12, just like it did in 2001. 24 years later, here we are. We're at that tipping point. And it has to start today. Okay? For me, it starts with this episode. It starts with providing tools for people to join, to be together, have some laughs, have some discussions, maybe argue a little, debate, but at the end be able to shake hands and walk away, right? That's important. It's important to be able to have that dialogue back and forth, have that freedom to do that, not have to be like, oh, if I say something, oh my God. God, I would get myself in trouble if I had to live like that. I can't. You got to be able to speak your mind, right? But there's a right way and a wrong way to do that too. There's a way to be confrontational, or there's a way to be, hey, I have a difference of opinion, and I'd like to talk about that with you. Those are two different ways of attacking something. So here we are, 9/12, starting this off. It's going to be called Operation 9/12. Again, there'll be information up on the website. If you have any specific questions, you can get in touch with me at bulletproofveteran@gmail.com. Send me an email. If you have critique about it, if you say, hey, you need to not do this, please send that to me too. Okay? No problem. This is an idea that I came up with literally this week. It's something I've talked about in the past that I've wanted to do, but it all really kind of came together for me this week with, again, like I said, current events and what I've been reading, mostly on social media, but also in the general media, the mainstream media. You're seeing people just say vile things on both sides, and we're tearing each other apart, and we're tearing the country apart in turn. So we can't just stand by. It can't happen anymore. We have to act. And this is my way of doing it. So again, shoot me an email, whatever you like, get in contact with me. There's a contact form on the website too, bulletproofveteran.com. And that's basically the same as an email. So if you just didn't feel like pulling up your email and you want to go to the website, there's a contact form there. You could listen to past shows there and all of that. We're going to be doing other stuff in the meantime. So don't think that this is just becoming Operation 9/12. It's not. We're still going to do our interviews. We're still doing our shows. We got the new fantasy football show out there, Fantasy Mediocrity. We're also going to be doing a hockey show. My daughter plays hockey, and so do I. And I thought it was a fun way to introduce her to the podcast world. So me and her are going to be doing a father-daughter hockey show when we get closer to the season at the end of the month. I'm going to take her to her first Ranger game here at the end of the month, and probably use that as kind of our springboard into her having her own little podcast to talk about hockey and peewee hockey and deck hockey and all the fun stuff, and playing in the backyard and playing on the street. So we're still doing all of those things. I don't want you to think that, now Bulletproof Veteran is just this cause. It's not. It's not. We're doing all the things, folks. But I think we've reached that maturity in the show that we can do more real, tangible good. Okay? I love throwing events. We're going to be doing that here on Long Island. I've already started talking to some people, some breweries and things like that want to get involved. They want to host some things. They're not shying away from the opportunity to bring people together. So we're going to take advantage of that. Again, I'm looking for veteran organizations that want to get involved here on Long Island, across the entire country. We live in a great world. We have all this technology, all this stuff, right? It's amazing. We can talk through Zooms and Teams. I can see your face now. If nothing else, that's what COVID gave us. It was the ability to do all of this, and everybody's used to it. So if you're in California and you are part of the Legion out there and you guys are looking to do something, we'll get in contact. We'll get you some information. We'll try to coordinate so that we could do things together. Maybe you have an event there. We have an event here. We put it up on a Zoom board, whatever, right? The sky's the limits. But it starts here, starts now, 9/12, and we're gonna do good things. Usually I get into the sponsors and all that stuff. I'm not doing that today, okay? Because that's not what this is about. Go to my Instagram. You'll see discount codes and all that kind of stuff. You see the stuff on the desk here of some of our new partners. Next episode, we'll dive all into that and how all of this happened in the background and some of the things that you could take advantage of. But right now, I want you just to sit with this idea. Tonight, sit. It's Friday. It's Friday night. Beautiful. Okay? Sit with this idea. See how it impacts you. Is it something you want to get involved in? If it is, contact us. Okay? We'll start listing out things that we can do. We're going to get very specific with the things that we can do. So please reach out. Or say, hey, listen, you're an idiot. Don't do this. Send me that too. Because I don't know. I'm just trying. I'm being me, and I'm being very hopeful. Okay? I am an eternal optimist. My wife laughs at me all the time. I always try to find the good in things. And I think there's good here. Because with every struggle comes that opportunity to rise and be the best people that we can be, especially veterans. We do the best in chaos. We live in chaos. We thrive in those challenges. You can't do this. Do more with less, blah, blah. All the fun slogans that you've heard the entire time, right? So we're the people to do it. We are. You, me, this community. We can make that change, all right? So be on the lookout for the Operation 9/12 stuff. We're going to have a lot of information out there, and I'll keep posting it, and I'll keep putting it out there. All right, I'm very excited about this. I think we can do a lot of good, and I think we can have a lot of fun with it too. It's not all about work, and it's not all about, saving the world and all of that. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just have a good time. Have fun with your neighbor or somebody new, and you learn a little something, right? And then it trickles down. So that's where we're going to start. All right. We went for about 40 minutes. I didn't want this to be long. I just wanted to get this out because, again, taking advantage of the fact that I came up with this week and it is 9/12. I wanted to get this out and be timely with it. So that was the information. If you need anything, please reach out. September is Suicide Awareness Month as well. We always take that very serious here. If you are a veteran that needs help, please, there are so many outlets. I just made a post the other day with a bunch of different outlets that you can, take a look at on Instagram. So if you know somebody that needs help, you can always reach out to me and we will get you to the right places. You have the suicide prevention hotline. You have all of that stuff. But the biggest thing is check on your buddies, check on your friends, make those phone calls. You're never, ever, ever think that you're bothering somebody by making that phone call, okay? Make the phone call. If you think they need it, they do. Make the phone call, all right? Check on your friends. Be a wingman. Be a battle buddy, whatever the term you want to use, all right? So I'm going to leave it at that, all right? Check us out on Instagram. All right, we put most of our information out there. It's on Facebook too, Bulletproof Veteran, at Bulletproof Veteran on Instagram. You can go over to Twitter and look us up. We're on there too. I don't really do much with Twitter because, let's be honest, it's a cesspool. But it's there. There'll be information going out there. But mostly Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, that's where I'll throw all this stuff out there. So if you missed anything, if you weren't sitting there with your pen and pad, it'll be there. Don't worry. And then, like I said, on the website. But for now, for Bulletproof Veteran Podcast, my name is Jason, and thank you for your service.